Yo, yo, we here. It's Thursday, March 10th. It's a little weird, I know. We usually here talking about sports, but this was the other half of the podcast that me and you have always talked about. E, you know, the opening topics that we used to talk about. We decided to make it his own thing, so he can kind of have his own life. We wanted to give the life talks the shine that it really should get. I feel like this is the perfect time to start because Netflix just dropped. Well, not just dropped because it's been like almost a month, but we finally got a chance to watch Genius, the Kanye West documentary. This is gonna be a very good video. Um, Radical Souls podcast. People have never seen this. I'm Daniel.
I'm Ethan, and Chris is still with us in spirit.
Word. We just waited on Chris. Whenever he gives his green light, Chris will be back. But me and Ethan saw the documentary. We were like, yo, we gotta talk about this, bro. And I feel like there's plenty to talk about. So let's dive into that.
Let's dive right into it.
So where would you like to start? Do you want to start with your overall view of the whole thing? Do you want to start with episode 1, 2, and 3? Do you want to talk about the little hidden gems that we didn't know about?
I would say, let's go in order. I find it very, very interesting.
Yo, so you had episode 1. What was your takeaways from that?
I mean, what he went through, like no one really believed this man's through 3 label records until Rockefeller finally gave him a chance. And even when he got a chance, he still wasn't doing anything. And it's kind of crazy his hustle back then.
Word. Yeah, like you said, everybody knew that Kanye was a producer first and then became a rapper. We all didn't know just in what extreme did they believe that he was a producer. You feel me? Like, they made it sound like, oh yeah, we had him stashed away. Like, the typical, oh yeah, this is our rookie. You feel me? Like, we drafted him. We're going to let him develop. We'll give him some time, and then we'll throw him out on the scene. Little did we know that this man was out here playing the CDs for people within Rockefeller, like, not even like some randos, like, John or Missy at reception. Like, he was talking to executives, and they were dead just there, like, oh, okay, word, that's cool. So, yeah, I'm going to send you that BlackBerry over. It's a good phone. Like, that was crazy to me. I'm like, wow. You just saw the disappointment on his face.
Yep.
And when I saw that part, I don't know if you agree with me, that's when everything clicked in my head. Like, it all makes sense why he acted like that all that time.
I mean, once he finally got noticed, he reacted different. But how you saw how long it took 2 years, broke in New York, not even just trying to get out there.
Yeah, like, bro, it made sense why he's so, like, optimistic, so about himself.
Yep.
And I don't even think it's a bad thing to be about yourself. I think people kind of take that out of context sometimes because people think that being cocky and confident is two different things when in reality, it's kind of the same thing. Like, some people just don't like when people are confident in themselves and they want to talk down on people. And it's like, yo, what's the problem with me being overly confident?
Exactly.
So what else? What else did you take?
Going to like what you said about the executives, he literally played "All Falls Down," probably one of the greatest songs he made, and she was just on her phone the entire time. Like, it's crazy to see that. And then we're not on the second episode yet, but when Pharrell like heard it, you saw the difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into the second episode with the whole Through the Wire and they're talking about that whole album, they're showing bits and pieces of him recording. Like, yo, when Pharrell heard Through the Wire, like, he went absolutely apeshit. Like,
Yeah. And the people he had on that album, like Ludacris, Pharrell, he had so many heads on there that it was just crazy to see.
yeah, seeing the way they brought everything together was just mad dope, bro. Like, it was so cool seeing young Pharrell and, like, going crazy, seeing Jamie Foxx record his part for Slow Jams. There you go.
Yeah.
So hearing, seeing Jamie Foxx record his part on Slow Jams was mad funny, like, because Jamie Foxx is Jamie Foxx, you feel me?
Yeah, he was funny from the jump. I mean, he already had his show and everything, but like he always been funny, I guess, outside of work too.
Facts. And then, everything that just transpires through that album, all the success, and then when I saw the ending of part two and they're showing what's gonna happen in part three, and I saw the Donda tour, I was like, no way, they made it all the way to that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, how did it not make this longer? Like, with all the footage that this dude had, and then in episode three, find out Cootie and Kanye kind of had a falling out, and he wasn't there all that time for all those in between gaps. So I'm like, okay, makes sense now why they couldn't.
Even those conversations he had with like the realtors was like kind of crazy to me. Like I didn't expect the simple conversation like that.
Yeah, bro. When they showed him having that episode with them, and he was talking about Martian and stuff and all that other stuff, like I was listening to it, I'm like trying to piece it together. I'm like, what is he talking about? And then when Cootie said, yeah, that was him having an episode, I was like, oh, that's why I couldn't put anything really together.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy to see.
What's your take on it? Like, you feel me? Like, just seeing one of his episodes like that. Like, do you think people sometimes don't cut him enough slack?
Yeah, I feel like they take it to extreme. Like I feel like he has a mental health issue that should be taken seriously, and they think because Kanye is like it's Kanye. Like no, it shouldn't be like that.
Yo, and it's funny that you say that because I remember talking about this, and it's happened with some people and stuff. When I tell them I watch a documentary, they're like, "Oh, why'd you watch it? You know, you want to hear what this crazy dude has to say?" I'm like, "Yo, like, it's easy to sit here and say he's crazy, but when you look at everything that's happened to him, like, it was rough, man. Like, he moved from Atlanta to Chicago when he was 3 years old. His dad's not around, and even then, like in the documentary, you see him having a conversation with his dad, and his dad looks like he has no interest in the world and even talking to Kanye at that moment when Kanye is like so ecstatic to talk to him. So like that little bit, you can get a sense that Pops probably wasn't around and Pops didn't really care for him, unfortunately. So it's like he gets raised with a single mom, no dad in the picture. His mom, that's his manager, his mom, his best friend, his guardian, passes away when he's like in the midst of getting to the next stages of his life. And like Kanye was probably what, in his 30s at that time?
Maybe a
Just
tiny bit younger. Yeah, maybe like
coming
20
straight out of fame.
30s. Yeah, like that peak.
Yeah, so you feel me? Like, bro, he's reaching the apex of his career, honestly, because I mean, even then he's still rising. But technically speaking, at that time, when his mom passes, you're thinking that's the apex, and no dad, no mom, and the dude has like a mental health issue that we don't know how long he's actually dealt with that. You feel me? Like, bro, that's a lot to handle, and I think sometimes people don't give him enough credit for those things. But like a normal person in society, they'll be like, "Oh, that person was raised by his mom alone." Like let's cut him slack. Because he's doing whatever he's doing. Oh yeah, his parents aren't around. He got raised by his grandma. Cut him some slack. And I feel like once money's involved, people start changing the way they look at people really quick.
Big switch up. I mean, like going based on like what you said, like that devastation that hit like him knowing that his mom passed. Like you saw the difference in the interviews. He wasn't talking to anybody. He wasn't ecstatic. He didn't want to deal with anything. He just wanted to be like on his own, doing his own thing.
And I'm not sitting here trying to defend every single thing he's done because some of the things he's said and done sometimes is a bit extreme and stuff, and there's some things that are undefendable. But it's kind of hard sometimes when you don't have some people like in your circle when it comes to like your parents, for example, like telling you like, yo, you like don't do that. If you're going here, don't do that. Like when you go to that spot, don't talk about this.
You need that supporting staff. Like you saw how Cody and everybody was in the beginning. Like they were there for him no matter what. Like they were in that journey. And he needed that without his mom actually being there.
Yeah, bro. So I mean, what else do you want to talk about on that topic? You feel me?
I mean, going through the last episode more than anything, like you saw what he went through from beginning to end of that last episode on like from 808s and Heartbreak to like now. Just crazy to me. Like they talked about Wyoming, they talked about everything that he's been through.
Yeah, and just to like wrap up this topic with his mom, you feel me? Because you're talking about everything that's happened between that time. Like his mom passed away from plastic surgery. Like that wasn't like, oh yeah, my mom, has a disease. I'm gonna come to gripes that at some point something can happen. Because, like, once something like that happens, you're already fine tuning in your head a little bit. Like, okay, like, you know, that's the situation. Something could happen. But like, for her to just pass like that out of nowhere, like, that's rough, bro. Like, that's really rough.
I can't imagine getting that news. Like just hearing it just hurts. So I can't imagine like him knowing that like that day probably was just so devastated.
Yeah, and then, again, he just didn't have the same support system, and we get the presidential run where, granted, some things he was saying, I mean, it kind of is the same ideologies that we've heard from other presidential candidates, just not with the same delivery.
Sure.
And I think that's another thing with Kanye, bro, delivery. Like, it's just the way you deliver some things sometimes, and he ain't the greatest at that. So that'll help him at all.
A little off topic, I was watching his interview with Drink Champs and like it was so interesting, like the concept that he was like saying between. I was like, oh, okay. Like it was just mind blowing to me.
Like, the slavery was a choice thing, that was way, way, way OD. But then, like, when he was talking about abortion and stuff, it makes sense. He's Christian, like, he's a born again Christian. Christians, the ideology, and Catholics, it kind of like don't do abortions. It's kind of the younger generation that's kind of like a little more iffy on it. But when he said, like, yo, give him money, like $1 million, I mean, it kind of made a little sense, because it's like, obviously, some people sometimes get an abortion because they can't afford a baby. So if you give them the money, it kind of gives them a reason to keep the baby.
Yeah.
So that made sense, but at the same time, delivery, and it's Kanye West. Like, people are gonna look at it crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, when that whole thing went down with TMZ and everything, I was in shock that he even said that. Like it was so mind it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy seeing that.
So what's your overall take after watching the documentary on Kanye? You feel me? Like, have you changed your mindset a little bit when you talk about him and stuff?
I mean, I always expected him to be a genius from the start. Like the very beginning, I knew he was a genius from college dropout, from late registration,
To that
graduation
to that era.
to that era, yeah, to the clothing and sneaker era. But I always had mad love for him before till Dark Fantasy. Then after that, it slowed down. But like now, seeing the last episode, like you can tell he's just different. Like he had a whole different mindset than he did in the beginning.
Yeah, like, I've always been a Kanye fan. I wasn't like a super mega hardcore Kanye fan. He was up there on my list though. But after watching the documentary, I sat there and I started really thinking, and that's why I told you, like, yo, let's talk about this, because again, like, I feel like he should be the staple of the mental health thing, where it's like, yo, you have a mental health issue, you have a bunch of things combined in your life, combining with the mental health issue, and that's a lot. And like, again, I feel like people sometimes jump to conclusions and hear mad fast. Oh, this is a psychotic episode. Oh, this is, and it's like, yo, so what if it's a psychotic episode? He has a mental health issue. How about we help him instead of judging him, complaining, jumping to conclusions?
It's sad because it's true. Like they just jump to a conclusion and that's it. They're like, all right, Kanye's having an episode. That's it. Like you're not gonna go in depth. Like why is he having an episode? What is happening in his life? Like just nothing in between that.
Yeah, because even if you want to talk about post documentary, because we're seeing it right now with the whole Pete Davidson saga, you feel me? Like, I'm not on anyone's side. I do think Kanye was doing a little much with all the posts and like posting some personal conversations and all those things, but at the same time, I get it, because he's like, yo, no one's gonna defend me. I gotta defend myself, because everybody's gonna say I'm having a psychotic episode, and that's why I bought the house across the street. But it's like, the dude didn't even get invited to his daughter's birthday party. Like, I'm guessing that's why he had to buy a house across the street so he could take care of his kids, and they could watch him taking care of the kids instead of him being like, all right, come to Chicago, I'll pay all that money for flights and your security, and everybody and their mother can come over here and watch. Like, yo, they're across the street. If you think there's something wrong, come across the street. I'm right here. Boom, boom, boom. But
True.
nah, psychotic episodes, being a stalker, yada, yada, yada.
He's a father. Like at the end of the day, he is a father.
Yeah, I mean, bro, let's touch on that. He's a father now. I feel like that kind of changed the trajectory of everything. I feel like that's when he kind of like, because the Yeezus era of Kanye was a little crazy.
That was
And
crazy. The whole Taylor Swift coming on stage saying
yeah,
Beyonce is
like,
the best video of all time.
but even then, at that time, he's dealing with the opioid addiction around that time frame. I'm not sure exactly when it started because at the end of the day, like, after my injury, you remember I had to take perks, and not that I got addicted or nothing, but I would imagine that Kanye, from the through the wire moment when he broke his damn jaw, they put him on some type of drug, and the thing had to start then. Like, it had to have started around that time, and he just kept it going. And maybe he realized he had an addiction for 2 years, but if you really frame everything out on a timeline, it was way before that. Because you can't sit here and tell me he wasn't on some type of medication through that broken jaw.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. He had to try to do music videos, and he just didn't care. And he was like, you know what, I'm gonna try my best to go through this and do certain things while rapping. And he was like, you know what, let me just take it.
Yeah, so it's like, yo, again, like I said, I think people gotta like really. I think there's gotta be another documentary outside looking in from like people around his perspective because there's so many other details that I know were left out that like obviously they're trying to respect his privacy, but if we get that context, things will start to make sense because there's a lot of things that still don't make sense about Kanye sometimes.
Of course, in between, like if like Cuddy or like Travis or people that have seen him, Dave Chappelle maybe, because there's probably so many people in his now his support staff that he could see, talk to.
Yeah, for like when you saw the Kids See Ghost era with him, I remember when that album came out, we were at Champs and like, yo, we were all mad hype for it, but we kind of brushed over that because it's like that album didn't get as much love as it should have because it's with Kid Cudi and what they were singing about. And when you hear him singing about some of these things and the things that Kid Cudi talks about all the time, it's like this dude definitely has some issues that connect very much that people are not talking about enough. So the clothing line. What was your biggest takeaway from all that? What was
From start to end, it is hard like putting all that in conclusion because you go from like how Kanye started to peak Kanye to now Kanye, and they're all just different versions.
Yo, it's funny though because he has a different version in everything. His music, himself, and his clothes. Because when the
Everything.
Yeezy started, like with Nike, which I'm kind of tight they didn't talk about. I was hoping they were gonna talk about that little era, but whatever. You look at his Nike Yeezys and you look at the Wave Runner 700s, the 450s that he has now, the slides, like everything has changed so dramatically.
I feel like you said, there's so many out of context things. I think I would want to love that whole like 808s and Heartbreak because they didn't really put too much into it. They jumped from
Well, at that time they weren't talking.
that's why because that in between was just nothing. Like it went to graduation to when he started doing Runaway and started making Easy Seasons, and that in between, I'm like, I wonder what happened because that 808s heartbreak has to do with his mom. Like it has to do with like that saddening truth in his life, but there was just no details in between.
Again, the 808s of heartbreak, like you said. That's around the time that he admitted he had an opioid addiction. Because Watch came out right before Watch with Lil Uzi and Travis Scott came out like right before that album came out, right? The Life of Pablo.
Yeah, right
So
before.
all that era, he had all these different things going on from like you said, those 6 years that Cody could have recorded. So I wonder what happened within those 6 years.
Right? Like it's actually very interesting to think about like what he was going through.
Yeah, bro. But again, I like the documentary a lot. I like the way it was set up. I was upset to see that there was a 6 year gap, like you said, but again, overall it was good, and I hope that hopefully they can add on to stuff because I have a theory. It says season 1 on this,
Mm.
and Netflix normally, if it's not by seasons, they don't even bother putting season 1 on anything. So maybe we see something from Donda up to God knows when in the next 2 years.
I would love to see that. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see how he like goes upon it. Like even watching like Drink Champs, like I said, like he was talking about Drake, he was talking about Jay-Z, he was talking about Dame, he was talking about his past though, but like I don't know, it's crazy. This is crazy to me, like the now Kanye.
It's a different Kanye for sure, especially post divorce now. Let's see what happens over this next few months.
Yeah, I mean he already dropped the song Easy and we both saw the video and song and we're like, wow.
And we
We're
saw
on his divorce day.
the public perception of that song too, because it's Kanye.
Just blew it up entirely.
Yet again, jumping to conclusions.
Yep, just immediately. And Pete Davidson didn't care, he just laughed it off.
And like I said, do I fully agree with everything he's doing during this little Pete Davidson saga? Of course not, because some of it's a little much. But it's like, I get it, bro. Like we all been there, done that, bro. Like that, like you feel me? There's people that you know or you've done it. Not you per se, but you know what I'm saying. Like generalizing this comment, or like people you've watched, and you'll be like, "Yo, you doing all that for her? Like, come on, bro. Let's go. Let's go do something real quick." But it's like, you feel me? Like, oh yeah, let's give them a pass, but not Kanye's a stalker. And it'd be the same people talking, like they're not stalking some dude on Instagram. And I'm like, aren't you that same person that was stalking, the other person that you're attracted to? I'm not, whatever. Okay, whatever.
Somebody.
You could be throwing in subs with a burner account, talking about how the person they're with is a bum, but Kanye can't buy a crib across the street to take care of his kids. All right,
Yeah, burner account.
makes sense. Something that went under the radar in this documentary, and I want to bring it up as a closing topic. Again, disclaimer for people that might watch this and be like, "Oh my God, they love." We don't agree with everything, but I do think that there's some things that he said and did that he needs a pass for, and not pass like, oh yeah, slavery was a choice, pass, like nah, that doesn't get a pass, but the little things of the way he delivered certain things or said certain things, like his mental health is there. But again, let me go back to the closing topic. When I saw Travis Scott happy at MSG with Cudi and Kanye, I was like, damn, bro. This dude really has been just MIA since that whole incident at his Astroworld Fest. And I hope soon.
Yeah.
My bad. What were you saying?
No, he literally just popped up on Instagram, like for the first time since Astroworld.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, that's why I was talking so much about how I think that Kanye's view needs to change. It's kind of the same thing with Travis. Again, do I fully agree with everything that happened that night? Of course not. People died. I'm not agreeing with death. Me and you have been to concerts. When people fall, most people tend to back up and help the person out.
Yep.
These scumbags were stomping people out and not trying to help each other out. And that, again, society. It's just how things are looked at, and I feel like as a society we need to do better with that, especially because we're being more open to different ideas, so we should be open to looking at everything a little bit better and passing our judgment like that, opposed to, oh, nah, he killed all those people, it's his fault. He wasn't in the crowd. He was just performing in the front of a stage where you can't see all the way back there. So I think for me, my biggest takeaway from the Genius thing was not to pass judgment so fast and really sit there and start thinking about everything as a whole. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you want to close with something else, but
Oh, I 100% agree with it. I mean, going from the Travis perspective too. I mean, we know he is probably the craziest performer in person when he does a concert.
oh no, we know firsthand.
And we know Astroworld's probably the wildest album he did, like performance wise. So like in my mind, I would know like what I'm getting into because this is gonna be probably your craziest experience you ever had at a concert. There's not no, I don't want to say anybody's like rapper, but like just not regular concert. Like this isn't Kumbaya. This is Travis Scott we're talking about. And I think I feel like there were just too many different perspectives on. Let's blame Travis Scott, and that's it. Like is everybody. It's a whole. It should be everybody together, seeing their surroundings and knowing what's happening. And then, like you said, you got those people that are just stomping people out. Like that's insane. Like why are you doing that at a concert?
Yeah, bro. Like again, do I fully agree with it? No, but again, genius kind of helped me sit there because you already know me and you. We get along so well because we have the same morals, the same perspective, and we never were quick to pass judgment. But I've taken that times 100 now because of genius. Like the last few weeks, I've been like, all right, let me look at it from both perspectives. Let me try to get it from every perspective because it's quick to side with certain things sometimes. And sometimes I look at the things, sometimes I don't. But now I'm trying to make sure I look into everything every time. Buddy, closing
Right?
remarks from you, bro.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is that Kanye from the jump, he was always hustling. Like that's still crazy to me. He was in New York, living in with 8 people in one apartment. That who knows how much it was back then, and you're literally traveling probably studio to studio trying to get a deal. And he actually does win 21 Grammys, multi-billionaire, got a Yeezys for days. Um, it's just crazy to like that outcome like that. I don't know how old he is, but probably like 10, 15 years later from his first album. It's actually crazy to see.
Bro, it's really crazy. From going from yeah, so I'm gonna send you this BlackBerry. Yeah, some bum is just here playing some music though. Don't mind that in the background. To Mr. West.
Well, so now they wish they were lucky to meet this man again. Like it's crazy to me,
Yep.
and it's crazy to say about who knows if we'll ever get another Kanye again. Like, but that Jay Z Kanye era was just like one of one. Like, who knows if we're ever gonna get that again?
Probably not because these labels are scumbags now. But you know, that's another topic for another time.
True.
But yeah, we'll end it there, bro. Um, again, we'll see if there's any more documentaries coming out in the near future that we can talk about. And you know, tomorrow we're gonna be back talking sports because someone's team won again yesterday, and now there's a very big conundrum that I really am uncomfortable about, and I wanted your takes on it tomorrow.
We got a lot of talk about the NBA since yesterday and
Yep,
today. Phillies, Nets,
and
but
tomorrow.
we'll definitely talk about it tomorrow.
Right. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow, bro.
See you tomorrow, bro. Peace.